Good morning, Facebook. So it is a beautifully chilly Sunday morning, and I'm sorry that I have not been able to film a webisode in quite some time. Things have been really busy with TruEvolution, but they're all very exciting, and I know the TruEvolution team is working very hard. But for today's episode, I called it Live Without Fear. And because I wanted to share with you a story on a really good friend of mine who is going through some really tumultuous times. She has been for quite the last few years, but I think right now things are the most aggressive they've ever been because she found out that she was pregnant. Um, and she called me because at first the decision was made that she was going to have an abortion and then she wasn't going to have an abortion, and then she's not sure, she might, and she really wanted to get my opinions on that. And originally, she thought that my opinion was going to be the simple, you shouldn't have an abortion, it's a life, don't kill it, end of the story. But I think it's very important that people can understand the concepts of life. They understand the possibilities for things like a pregnancy and to fully take in the weight of what it means to produce a life. I think that's very important. And I have always believed that I cannot make the decisions for someone else purely based on my moral opinion, because there are so many consequences and ramifications and consequenting things that come from our choices. So, in turn, instead of giving her my speech, I told her, or I asked her, what decision would she make if she was not afraid? And that caused the longest pause in the conversation, because I think sometimes we fail to ask ourselves these questions. We fail to ask ourselves, what choice would I make had I not been afraid? And I think it's very important that when you're making very crucial decisions, that we do not allow the fear of circumstances, the fear of what may come, or the fear of an uncertain consequence dictate the choices that we make. Because all you can really do is control what you know. And if you take off the K in know, it's now. All you can control is what's in the now, what you know today, what you know in the present. And based on those facts, based on the facts of what you currently are dealing with, those are what you make the decisions of. Now, I told her you don't make a decision without being cautious, that you should be mindful, and that you should be aware of what consequences may come. Be aware of the circumstances that may result afterwards. But there's a difference between being cautious and being afraid. To be mindful and to be fearful. They're two completely different things. And when you're making your choices and when you're making decisions, we must always live without fear. And she goes, well, how do I do that? How can I live without fear? Because I am afraid. Like, what do I do when I am afraid? And I said, the best thing that you can do to combat fear is to think about what choice would you make if you weren't afraid? And then make that choice anyways. Because when you do that, you're having courage over your circumstances. And courage isn't necessarily the absence of fear. Rather, courage is the presence of something more important than fear exists. Okay? I'm going to say that again. So, courage isn't the absence of fear. Rather, courage is the presence that something greater than fear exists. And in this particular situation, the thing that is greater than fear is the possibilities for a new life that she can be responsible for. And though there are fears that come with that, the possibilities of being able to plant seeds in this world, of a new life, a life that could do great things, that presence, the presence of something greater than the fear that may come with it, is what you find courage from. And I really believe that when you can meet all of your fearful circumstances with courage, in and in and in, hit it with courage each and every time, eventually you give way to faith. Now, faith, when you can have faith in your everyday life, that most definitely is the absence of fear. I truly believe that faith is the absence of fear. Just like darkness, in my opinion, isn't something real or tangible. It's not a thing. Really, darkness is just the absence of light. And as such, faith is simply the absence of fear. But in order to really rid ourselves of fear, we must meet it with courage. courage to make the decisions as if we weren't afraid. I know that that's very hard for me because my brain is so analytical. I'm always rushing to what will happen, what could happen, how do I weigh my circumstances of what is a better decision to make. And then in those moments, I have to stop and ask myself, what decision would you make if you were not afraid? And you make that decision out of courage. And you meet courage time and time and time again, and eventually you will start to usher in a sense of faith. And when you can truly have faith in yourself and in your choices, and have faith that that universal energy, creator, God, however you want to refer to it, that you can have faith that there is a being or an existence greater than you that is looking out for you. If you can have faith in that, then that is truly when you rid yourself of fear. So, to my dear friend out there, I'm going to tell you again, my darling, to live without fear and to ask yourself, what choice would you make had you not been afraid? And this really applies to her, that when you can educate a mind and when you can create a leader, you plant the seeds of infinite possibilities for social change. And I definitely believe this is an opportunity for you to plant a positive seed. So I speak blessings and light over to you, my darling, and I speak blessings and light to all of you out there who are having to make choices, and you're making them within fear, and that you can have the courage to make choices as if you were not afraid. So, ciao.